it's weird. You can modify all of the settings in the game, like make the amount of research you make be like a lot. Like research goes a lot faster, and you'll still have achievements enabled in Ironman mode, which is a bit insane. Okay, so let's start off with some of the basics here. Research, but not let's not go into that yet. So up over here we have like the basic resources. So we have energy, which is basically money, really. Like you produce energy, and anything that you do that would normally generate money basically gets converted into energy credits, and this is like the main currency in the game. Then you have minerals, and nowadays it's different, so now you need to produce alloys and so on based on minerals. Like every single industry that you have is going to be based on this. This is like the raw minerals that you mine from planets. Then you have food. You need food for people to live, so that's self-explanatory, I guess. You can, yeah, that's basically it. It's funny that it's, yeah. And then you have consumer goods. Like if you've played Hearts of Iron 4, then it's basically the same concept, like having civilian factories and military factories. And that's basically the same thing here, where you have consumer goods, which is the civilian factories, and your people will consume consumer goods. They need it, so it's like daily appliances and so on that you need, processed foods and all that. And then you have alloys. This is like the main military resource that you have. So you need this to build fleets, you need this to build space stations, you need this to do a ton of things in the game. And you're going to want to boost this as much as possible, but at the same time boosting this in consumer goods and making sure that, you know, you're not producing or wasting food, or I guess producing a ton of energy is also pretty good, because it lets you buy the other resources. You have a little market where you can go in, buy, say how much you want to pay, like this is the market rate for selling, for buying, and based on that you can also automate trades based on it. And then we have some other resources. These are like special resources, which is influence, as I was explaining earlier. This is going to be useful for a ton of things like expansion, colonization, and diplomacy, and a few other things like, well, not policies, but edicts. You can cast edicts that will boost your civilization on certain things, like fortify the border. Hey, Starbase upgrade speed is a lot faster, 50%. And a few other things. You'll be able to boost research as well with it, so it's a cool thing to have. And as you can see, you only produce like a small amount, but boosting this production is very important, especially because as you start getting to know like new empires, you might want to like set up trade deals with them and all that, and that all costs influence. If not a full amount of influence, it'll cost monthly influence, so you'll need all that. The other special resource is unity, and this is something that we use for something special, which is traditions. And this is like, let's say, the talent tree of if you play World of Warcraft or so on, or any other RPG that has talent trees. This is basically it. This is how you can customize your civilization even further, and it allows you to pick the path which you want to pick first. So small rule of thumb, usually discovery is the most powerful to go right from the start, unless you're I don't know, playing tall, so you don't want to expand too much, then I guess something else might be interesting, like prosperity or supremacy. But usually the two strongest ones are discovery and expansion. Reason for that being, discovery, when you finish it, it gives you a plus 10% research speed. And then a bunch of these also give you a ton of really cool boosts for research. So that one, basically all research produced by POPs will cost 20% less, and survey speed gets increased. Research station output gets increased, so if you build research stations, then you get a lot more research coming in from that. And then you can unlock an accession perk that gives you an additional 10%, so that if you do this right from the start, you get 20% boost to your research, which is really nice to have right from the start. The other reason why expansion, well, the reason why expansion is also one of the two strongest ones is because it allows you to build colonies faster. And not only that, it allows you to add, well, it allows you to have more people being born in your colonies and in your empire in general. And usually more population means better economy, better military, everything really. And additionally, colonization fever gives you a free pop when you colonize the planet, so that immediately starts increasing the amount of resources that you're going to be making if you expand a lot. And then it has a few other really good things, like influence costs for star bases decreasing, so you spend less of this very important resource. At least it's extremely important at the start. At the end of the game, it's going to be more like, I'm reaching the limit. And you know, it reduces star base upkeep because you're going to be expanding a lot if you take this right from the start. And Empire Sprawl is also a very annoying thing, but not as much lately. With the new expansion, it should be fine. So this is basically traditions. Then you know, you got some really nice that also feel like they're a bit dynamic. It really depends on the type of empire you have. So domination, harmony, prosperity, and supremacy, these sometimes shift depending on the empire you have. Diplomacy as well. So yeah, domination, this is basically having vassals and, you know, being able to tell them to do things. And hey, as you can see, workers and slaves, so yeah, you can have slaves in the game and all that. Supremacy is, well, is for war. You can deal more damage, you can have cheaper ships, and more ships as well, plus 20 fleet command limit. And yeah, that's about it. It's just war. Diplomacy, well, this allows you to create a federation. It allows you to do things that are pretty much just, you know, diplomacy. Like having okay, higher trade value, reduction of costs in the market. This is actually pretty good if you do a lot of trading, especially on the automated trading, because this means you gonna have more resources per credit that you're gonna spend. And then secure shipping. So there is piracy in the game, and it's affected by the type of starbase and starbase upgrades that you have along the path or nearby the path. So if you have a starbase that's let's say between two systems, let me see. So let's see, if we had this is actually not too bad. Let's say if we had this was closed in, and we had, let's say, a trade starbase between here and here. If this starbase here had an hangar, then it means that at least, I think, 2 nodes would be protected, and if you upgrade that to a certain value, it would increase the protection all the way till the capital. My god, this is a bit of a mess down here, but it might be nice. Anyway, let's keep up. So I was in Unity, right? And I was talking about diplomacy. So prosperity is basically all about the economy. It's about reducing costs to, well, everything. It's about increasing output, not just from mining buildings, as this gives you, but also like specialists get increased as well. You get more jobs available. You get more housing available. All of that. And then when it finishes, you get, what is this mode? Okay, you get 1 free merchant job per 50 people. Okay, that's not too bad. That's actually pretty good. Harmony is like boosting some things. One would think like this is actually different depending on the type of empire you have. So if you have a peaceful empire, this is going to be a bit different. But like, yeah, it gives you a higher lifespan for your leaders, faster build speed, so faster ship fire rate if within your borders and all of that. So a bit nationalistic there. And yeah, this allows to, how should I put this, agilize your workforce, which means if they become unemployed and they're a specialist, they go faster down a level to worker, so that pop doesn't stay unemployed for long, or at least as long as it usually does. And then yeah, it also boosts ethics attraction. It's nice to have the same ethics on your population as your empire has, because if you have more people that believe, let's say if you're a warlike faction or a warlike empire and you have a lot of people that believe in peace and then you go with war all the time, you're gonna have a bad time with that, because you're gonna have people revolting and rioting because of it, and you're probably gonna spend more time fighting yourself than others at that point. And yeah, then you get stability increases, and this is something you don't see up here. This is something you see down to the planet level. Each planet has its own stability, and it's basically something you need to take into account. But like in most times, you want to have issues with stability in them, unless you know you have high crime rates or your planet is newly acquired, so you know the people on that planet still hate you for what you did. And yeah, okay, this also reduces empire sprawl, so it's not that great, because you can have a building that literally helps with empire sprawl. So yeah, but yeah, let's go to the next one. So this is the research tab. This is the amount of research that your empire is producing per month. Yeah, per month. Then this tab is basically the special resources, I guess we could call them. So using these resources, if you produce them and if you have them, there will be some special edicts that you can do to use them. They can also be used for ship production, because like when you start producing some special technologies, you're going to be able to boost your shields and so on with gases, or boost your armor, or do some cool stuff. And then you got this row, which is, if you're going psychic, then this is something you need. And then the last one would be nanites, the one that is really fun to have, but it just boosts production of these ones if you produce that. And this is really only available in somewhere outside of the galaxy, that will be available later down, but that's like depending on certain events and so on. So it's story based to even have that. Dark matter, this is related to some technologies that you can build, but as far as I know, to get those technologies, you need to be at war with fallen empires and get their ships and get those technologies from wreckage coming out of them. Which means it's way too far away for you to even get at, you know, available to you. And like during your first few playthroughs, I don't even suggest people to mess around with fallen empires. I won't, unless, you know, I see that I'm superior to them in every way. And that's very difficult to even do. So Empire Sprawl, this is basically how much of a mess, a bureaucratic mess, your empire actually is. So as you can see, we're in the white, we're not in the red. If you ever see this red, build an administrative building that allows you to produce more bureaucracy, and that allows you to control the crap that's going on in your empire. So this is basically that. If it ever goes into the red, you're gonna get some negative debuffs going on there, and that's basically what it does. It's just a way to try and stop you from expanding too fast. That I'm guessing pissed off someone over at Paradox, and they created this, which basically nullifies the effect of it. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Empire Sprawl. And then Envoys is basically the diplomacy system. So when you meet other factions and so on, you can send them and make them happy or make them hate you if you want. And that may cause a war, and you can be like, they're the ones who declared war on me. But I'm gonna take all of this shit because, you know, I'm not walking away without anything, right? And then, yeah, Empire Population, this doesn't, yeah, it's just a counter. Usually having a high population count means that you have a really good economy going. So if you have that, then yeah, great. Nothing much to say about that, to be honest. Starbase capacity. You need to be careful not to go too far away from the limit, because you start getting a ton of extra resources being used. So it increases maintenance of all star bases, and these will start going red if you go too far ahead. Same goes for naval capacity, but later down the line you'll be able to build some like space stations and just focus them on increasing naval capacity so you can have bigger fleets.